In this video, I'm doing a long-term review on the Insta360 X4 camera. I love 360 cameras, so what has this actually been like over these last 6 months? So in this video, I'm going to talk about what it's been like over these last few months, any issues, anything that I think could be actually improved on this, and let you know should you actually go out and buy this or not. So the X4's highlight feature when this came out is that this can actually now record in 8K. Now this is super important because what's good about these cameras is that you have two lenses on them. So it's going to get a full 360 view, unlike anything that you can see on an action camera or a phone. It's simply unique. But because it's actually recording on both of these cameras, you want that resolution to be as high as possible. You see, on the X3 when that came out, that was a 5.7K sensor. So overall you think that is fantastic. But because it's actually reading that information from both of these cameras, the output on that was 1080p, so HD quality. Now that was good, it was good enough for social media certainly, but now having 8K, we're getting a 4K readout, so a 4K export. And the quality, from what I've seen when I've actually been using this and then I look at it on my monitor, even on a large screen, it's like, that is incredible. Such a massive difference. That's the biggest step up you're going to take away from this video. So over these last few months, I've been actually using this in so many different locations and countries and had a ton of fun using it. But what you can see from these clips, none of these have actually been edited. None of them have got any color grading on or LUTs. It's simply straight out of camera. And you'll see that these videos aren't too sharp. They're not too contrasty. They're not too saturated either. And actually watch this back on both your phone and also like on a TV or a large monitor, and you'll see that quality still stays the same. Normally on action cameras, that quality is a bit too over sharpened, too processed, and when you look at it on a big monitor, it doesn't look great. I found when actually using this, that quality, especially in daylight, in good conditions, is super impressive. And because it shoots in 8K 30, it does have slow motion as well, and that shoots in 5.7K, so you're going to get that HD export using slow motion. But again, you can see that quality is still great. But literally like 90% of the time, I'm actually just using this. I keep it in 8K 30, I just hit record, and that's what I'm going to talk about now, the actual ease of use. So for travel, I think this is the perfect camera. Normally I'm taking a backpack full of cameras, action cameras, lenses, my Sony mirrorless camera, and then most of the time I'm just picking this up, and it's because of that ease of use. When you're on holiday or you're traveling around, you don't want to be faffing around with composition, framing, checking all the settings, make sure you've got everything correct while your family's like a mile down the road and you're checking the ISO and shutter speeds. You don't want to be doing any of that. You just want to pick a camera up, hit record, and get all those memories and then not have to actually worry about anything. And because of the way this camera works, you can do all of that because you simply just hit record and then just forget about it. All you've got to do is hold it out in front of you, and then afterwards, after the fact, when you're getting back home or you're sat having a coffee, then you can actually go through and actually choose exactly where you want that framing to be on the app or on the desktop app on your phone. Because it's recording data from 360, you're getting this massive view. So you can then decide afterwards exactly what you want to be in that frame. So in this location, I just had this mounted to this like buggy. It was so much fun, but because it's actually recording from the front and rear camera, I can get this really cool wide view from the front, but also I can switch to the rear camera as well and get a shot of what it's actually looking like while we're in the buggy. Now for me to actually do that with a different camera, I'd be forever like changing from the front camera to like moving it round, faffing it around like that. Whereas this, I can just put it literally mounted to the buggy. Now a lot of times also I was using their invisible stick. Now this is great, super lightweight. I've no idea still how they make it so lightweight, but this extends. So actually you just put the camera on the bottom of here and you screw it onto this invisible stick. So you can extend that out. Now it doesn't matter where you actually have this camera, you can just have it out in front of you like this. But because it's going to be recording all that data, you're going to get this really nice wide angle view of you, all that scene. But this whole stick becomes invisible. You don't have to do anything to take that away. As soon as you actually play that footage back on the app, this whole stick has gone. It's so good. But I was also using this mammoth stick. This is also cool. So a bit heavier, but this extends to 3 meters. So you can actually extend this and go 3 meters out and get this massive wide angle shot. So again, I was using this a lot, just have it out in front of me, just holding it, either on the beach or getting these really top down shots. So you can see here now I'm on a boat and get this like drone-like footage, this top-down shot, where really I'm just stood there holding this stick like this. I extend it up and get this top-down shot, put it to the side of me and get side shots. The versatility and like different use cases that you can use with these is simply unmatched. And this also makes it a really good family camera. We're always using this on family trips. I love giving this just to the kids. They just run off, take some video, but they're not actually really understanding on ISOs, shutter speeds, the 180-degree shutter speed rule, different frame rates. And why should they? Family members aren't going to know about all that. They might not even want to. They just want to hit record just like they do on their phones. But what's different to this with a phone is that you're getting 360 video on here. I can just give this to the kids. They can hit record. They can go off. You can get this shot now of them on the back of this buggy. They might not be holding it very well. They might just have it, you know, like holding it out in front of them, completely off angle. They might be like on the phone and they're just like not even concentrating. It doesn't matter, because everything, the whole 360 view is being recorded. So afterwards, I can just go onto the app and I can just drag and have that framing perfectly centered. Or I can use the deep tracking function on here, drag a box around them, and they will again be perfectly centered. So even if they don't frame it right, they don't hold that camera right, you can go into afterwards and make these perfect looking shots. Now the build quality, this is slightly bigger than the X3 version, but I also do like this rubber grip around it. So if you are holding it in your hand like this, it is nice and grippy, but majority of the time I've just got this either mounted to a vehicle or on the selfie stick. I love that this now has a larger screen as well. So for actually going through the menus, actually dragging and actually looking at these clips, you can get 360 previews just directly on this camera. But having this larger screen on here does make a massive difference. I find all the settings on here as well are laid out so they're good for like a beginner. It's super easy to actually just go onto video, swipe across to time lapse, bullet time, burst, photos. You have so many different options on here, and also the accessories as well hold up as well. Build quality great. I've got these completely soaking wet, the camera completely soaking wet, and both have been absolutely fine. And also just using these selfie sticks as well, been able to get these super wide shots of either you or your group. And whilst in Norway I was able to get shots that I wouldn't be able to do with a drone or another camera, holding this selfie stick over a waterfall, I was able to get these great shots, and even off the cruise ship as well. Again, shots that I simply wouldn't be able to do, get 360 shots with a different action camera or a drone, which wouldn't be allowed. So having this just gives you those options, that creative style, so you don't miss out on these shots. So we've talked about how it's really convenient just hitting that record button, and then you can decide afterwards, you become that director and decide where you want the framing to be. Now in the past it would be quite time consuming and a bit more of an effort to actually do that using keyframes. But over these last like year or 6 months, especially with firmware updates that we've seen, it's now better and easier than ever. So just recently you can actually live stream with this. You could use this as a webcam, but also the studio and mobile version have improved so much to make it a lot easier as well. So on the studio version on your desktop, you can actually move anywhere on that frame, so you can choose exactly the angle and the aspect you want. You can change that aspect ratio again on the desktop and go from like 9:16 to 16:9. You've got complete control over that version. But most of the time I'm actually just viewing and editing these shots now on the Insta360 app on my phone. They make it super easy to use now. So you connect directly to the camera, it takes about 10 seconds, and then automatically, as soon as you actually load up this, you see like a million different inspiration clips of how you can actually make your footage look better. We don't have to do any of that. If you want to keep it just basic, you can just directly go onto your clips, click on album, and then again you can just go right on this one here. I want that framing of this shot of me in the car. I want to actually change that, so I'm going to click on it. I'm just going to drag around and hit play, and that view then, that angle is just of me driving this car. And then going to fast forward it a little bit. Right, this bit here, I want that to be a bit wider, so I've got a wide shot of me outside of the car. When I've done, I go right, I'm happy with that. I click export, and that's going to export it then in 4K quality. And you can see all these shots here, the quality has got so much better, but it's also got a lot faster as well, because say you had like a minute long clip, you would have to change the angle on that 1 minute clip and export it. Whereas now, say you just want to have like a 10-second segment, you can actually just edit that 10 seconds, the angle that you want, and then it will just export that 10-second part as well. So it's much faster now for getting those quick results. And it's also got an AI mode as well. So you've got Quick, Pro, and also AI. So say you've got that minute long clip again, and you just don't want to edit any of it, you can click AI. It will automatically analyze that clip. It will find all the interesting parts in it, and it will actually create a automatic video for you that you can then export, saving you a ton of time. So you really can make it as complex or as basic and just quick as you want. And that's what I like the most. I can actually just hit record on here. I don't have to worry about any of the different framing or aspects whatsoever. And then once I'm actually just sat down, I'm having a bit of a break, having a coffee, I can look at that clip that we just recorded. I can actually just drag my finger, get the perfect angle that I want, hit export and share that directly to social media. It's literally easier than ever. And that's what I've been loving using on this. It's why I use it all the time. If I didn't think that it was this good, I wouldn't be using it in so many different locations and trips that we go on. But that said, it does record in 8K and it's not a huge action camera. So when I heard this was getting 8K, I was like, that's going to overheat really fast. But since I've had this in all these different locations, this has never overheated on me once. I do move around with this quite a lot. It's never really just like static in place. I just hit record and I was like here for like 10 minutes. Maybe so it could overheat then. If it's mounted on a car, there's obviously airflow going over it. If I've got it on the selfie stick, I'm holding it out in front. And again, it's like moving around. And I'm also, the max clips I'm getting is probably about 2 minutes of actually recording. Then I might stop and actually get another shot later on in the day or in a different location. Now, one thing you do need to be careful of is these lenses. Now you can't remove them, so if you do get a scratch or a crack on these, it's a case of sending it back to Insta360, getting them to repair it. So that's something that you do need to be wary about. Now they did actually start selling these premium lens guards, and I found these are really good, super strong. And what you do is when you're actually going to be filming in more of like rough terrain, you might be on like an ATV or a quad bike or something, then this is going to actually protect them lenses, and these just actually clip straight on. So I've been using these a lot as well, but I find that to get the very optimal in terms of quality in the stitching, to take these off and then just use just like literally no lens guard whatsoever, that's obviously more risk. A lot of these shots here, and I've just got it holding outside of this like buggy, or I'm in these different locations like this, then I'm not using any of these. But when I have been using these, I'm knowing that it is fully protected. So that's something that I would say, I don't know how that's going to get any better, whether it can be removed in any future versions, but this is definitely the most vulnerable part of the camera and the bit that you do need to be careful of. Now you can get as creative as you want with this camera. It has a ton of features built into here, really good 360 or wide angle photos. You've got hyperlapses, time lapses, star lapse. It will do so many different things on here, but a lot of the time you can actually get creative just in that app as well. So I can actually just film in 8K 30, mount it onto the front of here, and then in the editor afterwards I can actually speed that footage up and get like automatically a time lapse or a hyperlapse, or I can add motion blur using the ND motion blur button. So I don't have to take a ton of accessories. I don't have to be thinking, right, I want to get a time lapse of this shot here, right, okay, I want to get a motion time lapse going to this next location, let's go in. I don't have to do any of that. I just simply mount it, I hit record, and I worry about all that afterwards. So I'm not the most creative person with this. Most of the time I'm just holding it out in front of me, hitting record, put it on a selfie stick. But if you want to like jump out of planes with this, go diving, go on quad bikes, you can do all of that and get even better footage. But for me, my use case is just creating memories with this, using it on travel, using it on holidays, getting footage of me and our group. That's my intended use with this, and it works great. Now I would say low light footage on here is not great, certainly compared to say like the Insta360 Ace Pro, which is like fantastic in low light. This isn't great, so for me, I'm not really using it at nighttime or low light. The Insta360 Ace Pro has a pure video mode, which is like a really good nighttime video mode that like adds noise reduction, sharpens that image a little bit. We don't have that on here. So that I would say is its Achilles heel, and something that I would like to see improved on future versions. So overall, using this over these last 6 months, I do highly recommend it. It is the best in terms of 360 camera that you can get. Nothing comes close to this, and the actual fun and creativity that you can have with it is simply unmatched. The nighttime video on here isn't great at all. You do need to be careful with these lenses. Make sure you've got the lens guards on when you're filming in more risky environments. but that simple fun factor and ease of use, being able to hit record and get the quality now, this 8K resolution, a 4K export, is the biggest advantage I've found using this. I'm going to be using this all the time. It's always in my travel bag. And if you actually want to go and check this out, if you buy it through my link, you're also going to get this selfie stick for free as well. Super lightweight and good. And you're going to be able to get these wide angle shots using this. Highly recommend it. Go and check it out. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you've got any more questions on the X4 360 camera, just let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe, because a load of content coming. See you in the next one. Bye bye.